The proclamation, which you have just heard read by the Governor-General's official secretary, was countersigned Malcolm Fraser. Who will undoubtedly go down in Australian history from Remembrance Day 1975 as Kerr's Kerr.
How quickly time passes. Events which in their happening dominate our lives inevitably become nothing more than memories. But some events take on a greater importance. They become history. So it was with the events of November 11, 1975, Remembrance Day. Labor Prime Minister Gough Whitlam was dismissed from office by Governor-General Sir John Kerr. Malcolm Fraser was installed as caretaker Prime Minister until an election a little over a month later, when Labor, under Gough Whitlam, suffered its worst electoral defeat in history. 10 years on, Gough Whitlam has now launched his second book, dealing with those dramatic events, dealing in fact with the entire 3 years of his government. Like its author, the book is of monumental proportions, 787 pages. On this anniversary of the dismissal, Mr. Whitlam agreed to an interview, and we'll be back with that interview in just a moment. Your Excellency, thanks for your time. It seems only yesterday that we were doing this sort of thing before.
Indeed it does.
Nothing changes. The popular image of the Whitlam government is of a reformist government that went too fast, got itself involved in a number of follies, and was often incompetent. Reaction?
You'd get this impression from reading the newspapers. You wouldn't get it from meeting the people.
Is it, so you accept that as the popular image?
Reading the newspapers,
yeah,
but not meeting the people.
Is it too late now with this book to remedy that view?
I'm not sure that one will ever change the attitude that newspapers express on this, but this book will reinforce the impression that the public unquestionably has that my government was the greatest reforming government that Australia's had. It not only set out to make reforms, but it did in fact carry them out.
Does it really matter the manner of your dismissal when an election soon after confirmed that's what the people wanted? I mean, it was democracy interrupted.
Well, it depends what you're suggesting that election confirmed. I don't dispute that at that time the electors thought that a Liberal government would be better than a Labor government. I don't dispute that in any way at all. But I do not believe that that election established the propriety of what Kerr had done or Barwick had done. Those matters still have to be tackled in some respect. One of them has been tackled thoroughly satisfactorily. The people overwhelmingly said that never again could a state government change the political complexion of the Senate as decided by the people.
When Joe Bjelke-Petersen sent down a man who was not a Labor man,
yes,
to replace the late Senator Milner,
yes,
that was a farce.
Yes.
It was a farce triggered by you.
Well, I don't understand your
ploy of getting the DLP leader, Senator Kerr, out of the Senate and off to Ireland as ambassador.
Nobody ever referred to that in October and November 1975. They referred to it in the elections in May 1974, and the people then showed that they thought that was a completely irrelevant issue.
Do you regret your trick with Senator Kerr?
No, when you say a trick, let's talk about it. If you think it's relevant, I'm not going to accept your assertion. The fact is that Vince Kerr had a term in the Senate until the end of June 1977. He made it plain to many people in the Senate, including people in the Labor senators, that he would not see out that term. Now, you don't dispute that. He was very sour with his colleagues in the DLP having dumped him.
The DLP...
So what happened then? We said, well, if he's not going to see out his term, we'll see that his replacement is chosen by the people of Queensland, not by the government of Queensland. That's not a trick. That is democracy.
Why did you reward him?
He was quite happy to take the job. Some people thought that we were... After all, who were the other people who'd been appointed to that position? You probably don't remember them. You remember Huey Roberton?
No.
Oh, see, I don't think you're a country party hack. He was succeeded by a Liberal Party hack, and then we sent a DLP leader, former leader.
You're not being very kind to the people of Ireland, are you?
I don't say we were, but nor were our predecessors, nor was Menzies in sending the man from the country party whose name you forget. Nor was his successor in sending a hack from the Liberal Party. None of us at that time were very kind to the people of Ireland.
Last week, one of your former ministerial colleagues, John Wheeldon, wrote that your government's follies resulted in no small measure from the Prime Minister's reluctance to consult his colleagues in the Cabinet.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
I didn't know.
What do you say to that?
I consulted my colleagues in the Cabinet very fully and very effectively. Nobody has ever suggested that anything we did as a government was not decided by me and my colleagues. It was very difficult to think of anything that was done just by me off my own bat. Because I point out...
At times you used only a few of your colleagues.
Well, that happens at all times, doesn't it?
It shouldn't have happened with the loans affair, should it?
Every matter of contemplating raising funds overseas is decided by a handful of people. Such matters are never decided in a cabinet or a full ministry. Never.
Why not?
Well, they never have been. I suppose to preserve confidentiality. But they never are decided by a cabinet or in a full ministry.
But you don't really want to defend that whole saga of the loans affair, do you?
Well, in what respect are you objecting to it?
Mr. Khemlani?
Well, I never met him, but
You endorsed that move?
Now, wait a bit. There were no negotiations with Khemlani at any time. What we said was, we told Khemlani we would be prepared to discuss matters with people who had money to lend to the Australian government, and that's all that we ever did. Khemlani was not the intermediary. He could introduce people and we'd make negotiations with those people.
He was given a brief.
He was told that we would be happy to negotiate with people who had money to lend to us. He was not the intermediary. He was not going to get any money from us.
You bypassed your own cabinet, Treasury, Reserve Bank?
Now, in fact, all those people were involved in discussions on this. All of them.
And when did they find out about Mr. Khemlani?
They knew at the time.
What time?
Now, look, when you say these people were not involved, who do you suggest, what department do you suggest should have been involved and was not?
Treasury.
Treasury was involved.
Late in the piece and...
No, right from the beginning.
And protesting.
Yes. Some of them didn't like it. But do we have to do what Treasury says? Now, for God's sake, the only impropriety there was that one of my ministers led me to believe, and I so assured the Parliament, that there were no talks going on at all. He misled me and he was sacked. And Mr. Fraser took that as a reprehensible circumstance. That is, it was a painful thing for me to do, but I've always taken the idea, I've always accepted this proposition, that in Parliament, democracy is betrayed if a minister doesn't tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I had to sack 2 ministers, important ministers, one for not telling the whole truth and not one for not telling the truth. And is that to my discredit? And people refer constantly to me sacking 2 ministers. 2 ministers in 3 years. Fraser sacked 22 in 7¼ years. Now, where is the disarray? Where is the folly in that?
Mr. Whitlam, we'll take a break if you don't mind, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. has dogged me for 10 years is after the dismissal, why did you not fight?
I did. I fought in the proper constitutional way at the hustings.
When you were dismissed, what did you do immediately?
Prepared for the campaign.
Did you go to the lodge and have lunch?
Yes.
You could have been fighting with your parliamentary colleagues.
On an empty stomach?
It was too late by the time you'd filled your stomach.
It was not. Let me proceed from that point. Parliament resumed at 2 o'clock. The motion of no confidence, which Fraser had moved in my government, was defeated. Fraser announced that he'd been appointed Prime Minister and moved the adjournment of the House. We defeated the motion for the adjournment of the House. We moved a motion of no confidence in Fraser. We carried it. We told the Speaker to inform the Governor-General, and then the Governor-General for nearly 2 hours refused to receive the Speaker. Now, all that shows very considerable presence of mind. People concentrate on Kerr's impropriety in sacking us without constitutional grounds and on the basis of a misjudgment of the political situation.
The president of your own party, Neville Rand, says that had he been in your shoes, they would have had to have dragged him, kicking and squealing, from the Parliament.
OK. Now, let me go on what Kerr then did. The second thing that you fellas never publicise, and, for instance, that great drama, The Dismissal, doesn't mention it. Kerr then commits a second sin. That is, he refuses to see the Speaker carrying a message from the House and then dissolves both houses in a proclamation signed by the Prime Minister whom he'd appointed and whom the House had repudiated. And then let me add, Kerr, of course, took no notice of the motion of no confidence which Fraser moved in me. He didn't wait for the result of it. It was defeated. He took no notice of the motion of no confidence which we moved in Fraser, which was carried.
What do you think of Sir John Kerr?
I hold him in contempt, as every decent Australian does.
Have you spoken to him since that time?
Of course not.
If you were to meet him, what would you say?
Nothing.
You wouldn't speak to him?
Of course not. Nor would any honourable person be seen speaking to him. And that is why, incidentally, Fraser made a deal with him to get him out of the country before he faced another election. Don't forget, we didn't get him out of Yarralumna, the Liberals did. They knew that he was not only a disgrace to the country, but an embarrassment to their government. I'm not expressing my attitude only. Obviously, the Liberals had him.
Do you stand by your view that previously expressed that Sir John Kerr's judgment was affected by his drinking?
Yes, subsequent events have confirmed my impression then. I wasn't so sure of that view as I would be now. I mean, everybody knows that. It's not just the events of November 1975 which show that, but everybody in November 1977 saw it at the Melbourne Cup. As has well been said, half the Australian population had ceased to support my government in November 75. The whole of the population ceased to support Kerr in November 77.
Would you like to see Australia as a republic?
Yes, and you will live to see that. I mightn't, but you will.
When?
Before the end of the century. I mean, why? Let me explain that. It's only by having a republic that you can prevent the monarchy being manipulated as it has been. I don't think there's very much respect round Australia now for vice-regal representatives. Some of them are very good, but some have been very poor. And the rot set in, particularly with Kerr. This is no criticism of the monarch herself. The difficulty with a monarchy in Australia is that the monarchy can't carry out the job. If the monarch had been in Australia in November 1975, the events would not have happened.
And yet when you were once asked if you would like to be Governor-General, you replied that you would have to think about that. You didn't say no.
Well, I've never been offered the job. I mean, if a government were to offer it to me, you wouldn't say, oh, don't be absurd or anything like that. I don't expect ever to be offered it. But while we still remain a monarchy, it is an important job. And if a government offered it to me, courtesy would demand, good sense would demand for me to consider it. But I couldn't answer that question on a television show.
No, I accept that, but isn't it a bit...
There are other people to consider. You'd obviously have to ask your wife, your children.
But isn't that...
a thing like that, and consider your own attitude about it.
Well, that's it. Isn't it a bit contradictory to say...
No, but while you still have a monarchy, you have to have a representative of the monarch, and you have to have an honourable, competent person to do it. And it's my shame that I advised somebody who was not honourable.
What do you think of the Hawke government?
Very good.
Compared to your own?
It still has the chance of being as good as mine.
And Mr Hawke as Prime Minister?
Very good. And as you know, the only criticisms that's been made of my job in Paris is that I wrote a letter to Labor Party supporters asking them to contribute to funds to see that Bob Hawke was elected for a third time as Prime Minister. He's equalled my record of being elected twice. I want him to beat it, to be elected 3 times. And the criticism was made that I shouldn't have written a letter for political purposes. It wasn't on official letterhead or anything.
Mr Hawke was once quoted as saying that you were, quote, frightened of economics and near the bottom of the class in making political decisions when you were Prime Minister.
He did say that some years ago. I dealt
79.
with... Yes. And I dealt with him on a public occasion a week later, and he's never repeated. He's never transgressed again.
So is it all square now?
Yes.
Yes, I recall your reply to him.
Yes, indeed. It was pretty good. And
You indicated that he was more a publicity seeker than a man of action.
Well, whatever happened, whatever was said then, we obviously were each wanting to make a point, and it's to our mutual advantage not to repeat it. You will not be able to quote any recent criticisms by Hawke of me or by me of Hawke.
Well, what do you think about Mr Hawke appointing Mr Fraser to this important position?
Well, you've probably seen in the newspapers, I was asked about that on Sunday, and I said that since 1979, Mr Fraser had very good qualifications to express the Australian point of view on apartheid, and I believe that the appointment was a proper and an effective one. There's no disagreement between Fraser and me on apartheid, not since 1979. I think Malcolm Fraser's appointment to speak for Australia to South Africa and the South African government on apartheid and Australia's attitude to it was a good and effective appointment. I don't agree with Malcolm Fraser on many matters which you might be wanting to discuss now, but on this, since 1979, I've never differed with him. I support him. I mean, I don't particularly regard Fraser as the greatest villain of November 1975. He took advantage of a weak man and browbeat him and so on, and he might have thought that was politically fair. I think he's damaged his own party and he's damaged Australian politics as a result of it. But Fraser didn't deceive me. Kerr deceived me and many other people. That's why I say Kerr is dishonourable. You don't find me talking about Fraser in those terms.
No, you don't denigrate him. You've been understanding about his situation, but not about Sir John Kerr's. Now, 10 years later, you are still a man of great stature. You're held in high regard by many, many Australians.
That's true, by most Australians, the great majority of Australians.
While the image of Sir John Kerr is a rather sad one.
Yes.
Isn't there a time to forgive and forget?
No, I don't believe that one should forget the conduct of a person holding very high office and who betrayed and diminished that office, and who deceived and set out to deceive some of his closest and longest associates. But I'm not particularly concerned about forgiving Kerr. What does concern me is that the machinery which made that situation possible has only been corrected in one circumstance, which we dealt with already. You know, the saying that the states couldn't distort the people's composition of the Senate. That's been changed, but a lot of other things that should be changed.
Mr. Whitlam, thanks very much for your time and good luck with your book.
Thanks very much.
His Excellency, Mr. Gough Whitlam, and we'll have more in a moment.